CEO exposed for laughing at waitress's broken English. Discover her incredible hidden talent. Maria wiped the counter of the diner, the familiar scent of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon wrapping around her like a warm hug. This bustling hub in downtown was her sanctuary, a place where she poured coffee and served smiles, all in hopes of building a better life for her little girl, Isabella. With each passing day, the weight of the world felt heavier, but Maria pushed through. She had come to America dreaming of opportunity, yet faced judgment for her broken English and economic struggles. One fateful afternoon, a figure entered the diner, exuding arrogance. David, a wealthy CEO known for his condescending demeanor. As he prepared for a corporate meeting, his booming laughter echoed through the space, suddenly silencing the usual chatter of patrons. It stung like a slap when he overheard Maria fumbling through her words with a customer. "What a joke," he snorted, sending ripples of shock through the crowd. Maria's cheeks flushed crimson. Every patron felt the thick tension in the air, their hearts aching for the woman who dedicated herself tirelessly to her job, and her daughter, Jake, a principled veteran who frequented the diner, felt the heat of indignation rising within him. He wasn't about to let this go. "Hey, that's not cool," he grumbled, turning to the regulars. Low whispers of support began to circulate, and the diner buzzed with an unspoken agreement. Maria deserved dignity. The vibrancy of the diner shifted into a charged atmosphere of resistance. Everyone felt it, the collective heartbeat of a community standing up for one of their own. Maria continued with her work, hiding the pain behind her smile, while the brave souls of the diner readied themselves to confront the injustice. As nighttime approached, the diner transformed into a stage for open mic night. The lights dimmed, and people took their places, but it was Maria's unexpected moment of courage that turned everything upside down. She took a deep breath, her heart racing as she stepped onto the stage. She had never thought of herself as anything more than a waitress, but tonight was different. The crowd held its breath, and she began to sing. Her voice soared above the chatter, full of emotion and raw talent, igniting the dim room with inspiration. Every note transcended language, binding them all in awe. The patrons found themselves lost in her melody, forgetting their judgments and uniting in a wave of admiration. Maria transformed before their eyes from just a waitress to a symbol of resilience and hope, leaving even David stunned and speechless. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Whispers of Maria's talent rippled through the community afterward, and David's conscience began to stir. He couldn't shake the look of determination on Maria's face while she sang. What had he done? How could he have laughed at someone so brave? He found himself standing at a crossroads, confronted by regular customers demanding he reconcile his actions. The tension was thick in the air as David approached Maria, his heart heavy with regret, ready to face the consequences of his arrogance. The diner fell silent, anticipation hanging like ripe fruit. What would happen next? Would there be a bridge built where walls once stood? The weight of that moment thickened the air, leaving everyone yearning for resolution, for compassion and healing to take root. Maria stood in the center of the diner, a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. She could feel the heat of every gaze in the room, their silent support wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. She had just revealed her heart in song, and now here stood David, the very man who had tried to belittle her. His presence felt like a storm cloud hovering over the moment, but never had she felt so empowered. David cleared his throat, the weight of regret heavy on his shoulders. "Maria," he began, his voice steady but not without its tremors. "I owe you an apology. What I said earlier, it was unforgivable. I was wrong to laugh." As he spoke, the hum of conversation faded into the background, everything else disappearing except for the two of them. Her heart raced. Maria looked up to meet his eyes, searching for sincerity. Could he genuinely mean it? She had spent countless nights convincing herself that she was enough, despite the obstacles. All she wanted was to provide for Isabella and find her own voice. I appreciate that. Her voice trembled, surprised at the strength she felt standing in front of him. You don't understand what it's like. Every day, I fight to be seen and heard. I've struggled to find my place here. David nodded, his expression shifting from arrogance to raw humility. I can only imagine as he spoke, she could see something was changing within him, an awakening of sorts. I've been at the top of my game for so long, he admitted quietly. But I never really understood what it means to be judged for something as simple as your voice or your background. That's my fault. The diner had fallen into a heavy silence, patrons frozen in anticipation. Maria felt the collective breath of her community support wrapped around her like a protective shield. The power of that moment was monumental, but she also felt a flicker of caution. Could she forgive him? Words can hurt, you know, she said, her voice now firm. But they can also heal. I hope you learn from this. We all have our battles. David's eyes reflected a newfound respect. I promise to do better. I want to help others, too. Maybe you could show me how. Jake, who had been watching from his usual corner booth, felt a swell of hope. It's not every day you see a CEO wanting to change his ways. He leaned forward, his brow furrowing with curiosity. What do you mean? David looked around the diner, the faces of the regulars, people who faced their own challenges, working hard each day to support their families. I want to help this diner, he continued, his voice gaining strength. Maybe sponsor this open mic night. Maria, you deserve a bigger stage. And if I can support that, I will. Gasps filled the diner. Maria's breath hitched. The thought of expanding her dream was exhilarating but daunting. Could she really step into a brighter spotlight? As the patrons began to murmur excitedly, she felt both the exhilaration and fear of what lay ahead. Torn between the past hurt and the hope Dave was offering, she took a deep breath. This was a chance for her and for others to rise. Before she could respond, Isabella's tiny voice piped up from the back, sweet and innocent. Mommy will shine. The diner erupted into cheers, the sound ringing through the walls louder than ever before. A sense of unity bloomed, replacing the tension of before. Maria's heart swelled with pride, gratitude, and uncertainty. What if this was the beginning of a new chapter in her life? As those thoughts raced through her mind, she looked from David, who was now fighting to prove himself, to the faces of everyone she loved. There was an ache of trust forming inside her. Would she have the courage to step into that light? Let us start this journey together, Maria finally said, her voice soft but firm. There was no turning back now, but deep down, as the cheers faded and excitement filled the air, a nagging question remained: what challenges awaited them on this new path? And would they truly succeed in changing the narrative? Maria felt a rush of warmth, a vibrant spark lighting her heart. The crowd's support wrapped around her like a long-awaited embrace. Still, shadows lingered in her thoughts as she glanced at David. Could he truly change? The old wounds weren't fully healed, doubt flickered like an unresolved chord. I'm ready. Her words came out with a mix of trepidation and determination. But it's more than just a stage. It's about being heard. David nodded, his expression earnest. I understand. Let us work on this together. I want to be a part of your journey, Maria. There was something hopeful in his eyes, a reflection of sincerity that felt right in that moment. The diner buzzed with excitement. Familiar faces beamed radiance, and the spirit of camaraderie filled every corner. Jake raised a glass, to opportunities and second chances. People joined in, laughter mingling with the clinking of dishes, and for a brief moment, Maria allowed herself to believe this could be transformative. Isabella's glee cut through the jubilant noise. Maria looked down at her daughter, her heart swelling with gratitude. Together, we can do anything, she whispered, kneeling to pull Isabella into a warm embrace, but as she stood back up, a reality sank in. So many dreams, so many people depending on her. She had spent years fighting helplessness. Could she really take on this new challenge? Jake leaned in, breaking through her thoughts. I know this diner inside and out, Maria. We need a plan. How do you envision this night? Her chest tightened with excitement and fear. She pictured a vibrant stage, a space where everyone could share their stories. I want to invite local talent, Maria said, her voice steadily growing louder. People who have something to say, but Haven Tea had a chance to shine. It's not just about me. David's face lit up with approval. I love it. We can create a community event, bring in other artists, musicians. The diner can serve as a platform for everyone. Over the next few weeks, Maria felt the doubts fade. She and David worked tirelessly, planning and promoting the open mic night. News spread, excitement bubbling through the community with every flyer that went up. The diner transformed from a simple eating spot into a hub of creativity. Every day felt like a new beginning, a sacred rhythm pulsing through her. Maria could feel the shift in herself, gaining strength and purpose. She spoke clearly now, her confidence steadily growing. But each time she took the stage to practice, a flutter of nervousness lingered. Was she truly ready? The evening of the open mic arrived, bringing a mix of electric energy and anxious butterflies. Patrons filled the diner, the air buzzing with anticipation. Maria stood backstage, worlds swirling around her. She could hear the laughter, the chatter, the hum of hope. It all resonated in her. A gentle voice broke the moment. David leaned against the wall, smirking. You're ready, Maria. Your heart will speak louder than anything. Trust that. Her stomach twisted with anxiety. What if I fail? David stepped closer, his expression softening. It's not just about you. It's about all of us daring to voice our truths. With every word he spoke, layers of doubt began to peel away. She took a deep breath, closing her eyes. This moment was more significant than she could fathom. It was about the people, the stories, and the voices waiting to be heard. As the names of performers echoed through the diner, each voice added weight and color to the evening. When her turn finally came, Maria stepped onto the stage, heart racing. The familiar faces encouraged her. Her community was behind her, uniting as one. But what she didn't expect was the chain reaction of stories waiting to be shared that night. As she opened her mouth, she felt the stirrings of something monumental. Would her voice resonate? Would the truth she carried light a spark in others? In that swirling mix of excitement and fear, Maria knew this was only the beginning. But behind her potential lay another question hanging in the air: what revelations would emerge from this vibrant tapestry of voices? The lights dimmed slightly as Maria adjusted the microphone stand, her hands trembling slightly at her sides. The crowd quieted, anticipation humming like electricity through the air. She took a deep breath, letting the warmth of their energy fill her. This was it. Her moment to shine. I'm Maria, she began, though her voice felt like it was echoing in a vast cavern. Her heart hammered, but there was a flicker of determination that brightened within her. And I want to share a piece of my journey with you tonight. Taking a pause, she scanned the room, grazing the faces of friends and strangers alike. Every smile seemed to bolster her confidence. She felt her shoulders relax, the weight of expectation shifting. This was not just about her, it was a collective experience. As she began to speak, recounting the struggles she had faced, battles with self-doubt, the weight of societal judgment, the longing for acceptance, she could see heads nodding in understanding. Each word fell from her lips like a stepping stone, leading her deeper into the narrative. The stories flowed like a river, raw, authentic, and liberating. She wove in anecdotes about her daughter, about David's support, about the diner that had nurtured her dreams. Laughter erupted at her self-deprecating humor, and the warmth between her and the audience swelled like a living entity. Among the crowd, Isabella watched, eyes wide with admiration. Maria felt a wave of love wash over her, energizing her spirit. She was not just telling her story, she was inviting everyone into her world, letting them feel the pangs of longing and the sweetness of hope. Life has a way of showing us our deepest fears, she continued, her voice rising. But what if we embrace them instead? What if we find our voice in that fear? Jake stood by the counter, raising his glass once more, and the crowd followed suit, an impromptu toast to resilience. Cheers filled the diner, resonating with a beat of unity and hope. As Maria finished her piece, she paused to connect with each person's gaze. We all have stories to share. Sometimes, they're hidden behind laughs or language barriers. But it's time to spill them out, to let our truths rise to the surface. A wave of applause thundered in response, echoing off the diner walls. Sensing the electricity in the room, Maria stepped back, the microphone still in hand. Something stirred in her gut. She felt a shift, a collective sigh of relief, as if everyone in the diner had released years of pent-up emotions. She smiled, warmth spreading through her as the crowd erupted in appreciation. But just as she was about to exit the stage, a familiar voice called out. "You're right, Maria." It was an old classmate, Claire, holding her hand up high. "I've been afraid to share my poetry for years. Can I come up next?" The crowd cheered her on, excitement bubbling over. Maria's heart swelled. This was the moment she craved, the key to unlocking the hidden talents of her community. As Claire made her way to the front, Maria felt a surge of joy. The diner had transformed into something entirely new, a sanctuary where voices intertwined in harmony, a space of healing and expression for everyone brave enough to step forward. But even as happiness filled the air, a small shadow wafted through her mind. Had she truly set in motion a ripple that would change everything? Or was this just a fleeting moment, soon forgotten? The evening continued, stories bouncing between the stage and the audience, each sharing a piece of themselves. But amid the laughter and applause, Maria felt an unsettling notion nudging her. What would happen when the lights dimmed, and reality crept back in? As she watched Claire delight the crowd with her poignant verses, that question lingered, heavy yet curious, echoing through the air. Would this newfound connection hold, or would it slip away like countless dreams before? The energy in the diner crackled like a summer storm. Maria stepped back, sensing an undercurrent of emotion swirling around her. The applause was deafening, but a part of her remained tethered to the shadows of doubt. She had just shared the most vulnerable pieces of her life, and now, with Claire's voice resonating beautifully through the room, a subtle tension clung to the edges of her joy. Claire stood at the front, her hands gripping the microphone as if it were a lifeline. Her eyes sparkled with the anticipation of finally sharing her poetry, a passion she had tucked away for far too long. The room fell silent, every face turned toward her, waiting. "I've been afraid to do this," Claire started, her voice trembling slightly. "But Maria reminded me something tonight. We all have our own little battles." With the words flowing from Claire's lips, the mood shifted. Each stanza painted vivid pictures, revealing layers of hurt and healing. The crowd hung on every word, some nodding thoughtfully, others wiping away tears. It was as if Claire was mirroring the emotions that had been swirling in the diner all evening. Maria wanted to bask in the glow of the moment, but the shadow inside her nudged at her heart, whispering insecurities. Was her own story enough? She felt a pang of envy, a flicker of worry that Claire would take the stage and somehow overshadow her. As the poem drew to a close, the audience erupted in cheers, clapping and whistling in appreciation. Maria clapped along, but she realized it was more than just a performance. It was proof that vulnerability bred connection. Claire had pushed aside her fears and in turn, inspired everyone. When Claire stepped down, breathless and radiant, she rushed into Maria's arms. "Thank you for doing this, Maria. I'd never have had the courage without your words." The warmth of that embrace melted some of the ice in Maria's gut. But as the applause faded, doubt crept back in, wrapping its cold fingers around her heart. This connection felt so bright, so real, but how long could it last? "One more." Someone called out from the back of the diner. The crowd cheered again, urging others to step into the spotlight. Slowly, one by one, people began to rise. A gentleman in the corner shared a poignant tale of loss, a mother spoke about raising her children amidst challenges, and a young man recited rap lyrics he had written, laden with emotion. Each story was a thread woven into a tapestry that grew more vibrant with every shared experience, yet, among the warmth, Maria's heart sank a little further. Everyone else seemed so confident, so assured in their truths. What if her words, once the spark that ignited this moment, became insignificant in the crowd of voices? Isabella caught her gaze from the back, giving her a thumbs up, and it ignited a flicker of hope within Maria. Maybe she could share again. But as the thought bubbled up, a worry crashed over it. What if she struggled to find her voice again? What if there was nothing left to give? The diner's energy swirled with stories, a banquet of emotions served on a platter of honesty, but within her bubbled an uneasy question. Is this a beginning, or just a moment? Maria whispered to herself, taking a deep breath. Just then, as another person stood to share, the front door swung open, bringing a gust of cold air with it. A figure shuffled in, cloaked in shadows, and the atmosphere shifted once more. Heads turned, whispers floated through the audience, and curiosity sparked. Who was this stranger stepping into what felt like an already charged moment? The audience held its breath collectively, hearts racing with anticipation as Maria felt an unsettling pull. With all the stories that had just been shared, what would this newcomer add to their tapestry of vulnerability? The figure stepped hesitantly into the diner, shaking off the chill that followed them. Maria squinted, trying to make out the shadows on their face. Peeking through the brim of a worn baseball cap was a pair of eyes, bright but clouded with uncertainty. They hesitated at the doorway as if the weight of the stories shared in the room pressed heavily on their shoulders. A bead of sweat began to form on Maria's brow. Who was this person, and what did they want? Wasn't tea tonight supposed to be about celebrating shared experiences? But as the chatter quieted and curiosity morphed into a palpable tension, the stranger took a breath and stepped further inside. Underneath the hum of faded conversations and soft laughs, anticipation rippled through the crowd like electricity. "Excuse me," the stranger's voice broke slightly as they spoke, causing the murmurs to fade into quiet. The diner, once alive with laughter and stories, felt like a room frozen in time. Everyone's eyes were fixed on them. "Hi, I know I'm not really supposed to be here or anything." A nervous chuckle escaped their lips. They glanced at the microphone, hesitating. "But I need to say something. I've been listening for a while now. And all these stories, they're beautiful. I just want to try sharing something too. Please." A few patrons exchanged glances, and several nodded encouragingly. The diner's warmth had transformed into a soft embrace, inviting the newcomer to fold themselves into the night's unfolding narrative. With shaky hands, the stranger moved toward the mic. As they closed the distance, Maria could see the slight tremor in their fingers. This person was battling their own fears, much like she had tonight. An unexpected surge of empathy surged within her. "My name is Alex," they finally said, their voice steadying. I'm from a small town. I moved here for work, and I'll be honest, it's been tough. My English isn't the best." They paused, a hint of embarrassment flickering across their face. "I've felt out of place. Like I don't belong anywhere." The crowd listened raptly as Alex continued. "I've seen people smile and laugh at me in stores when I struggle to fit in." But their voice grew stronger. "I found solace in music. It gives me a voice, a way to express what's inside when words fail." A murmur of recognition swept through the room. Maria felt her heart race. Could this be the moment she, too, had been waiting for? The same doubts danced in the back of her mind, but as Alex's spirit shone bright, she felt something like hope whirl within her. "I wrote this song," Alex said, glancing down at a crumpled piece of paper. "It's called Finding Home." They took a deep breath and began to sing. As Alex's voice filled the diner, the rawness and vulnerability of their lyrics pierced through the room. It was a melody of struggle, triumph, and the search for belonging that resonated deeply with everyone present. Maria could see the audience faces transformed by the music, emotions running high. Amidst this magical moment, she too felt the familiar spark of courage rise within her. When Alex finished, the diner erupted into applause. Joyous tears streamed down the faces of patrons as they rose to their feet, acknowledging what had just collided in the moment, a true connection. In that brief interlude, Maria felt her heart tugging at something she couldn't quite identify. She realized she might not be just an observer tonight. But what if Alex's voice ignited a fire she had not felt in herself before? The yearning chased away part of her doubt. As Alex stepped off the stage, an excited energy buzzed through the room, and Maria could sense it. The moment felt pivotal, filled with potential, and yet, she felt a flicker of fear blossom once more. Would she be able to stand up and share her story again, or would she remain a shadow behind everyone else's light? The night wasn't over. The diner's door swung open once again, this time revealing a figure silhouetted by the streetlights outside. Maria's breath caught in her throat. Who could be coming through the door now? What were they about to bring into this already charged atmosphere? The door creaked open wider, letting in a gust of cool night air that whispered secrets and possibilities. Maria squinted into the light, her heart racing with anticipation. The new figure stepped inside, haloed by the golden glow from the diner's neon sign. As they moved closer, gasps of recognition swept through the small crowd. Jake! A voice rang out, echoing in disbelief. Maria's gaze sharpened. Jake, their old friend from high school, stood there with an awkward grin plastered on his face, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. He'd always been full of confidence, the guy everyone looked up to. But tonight, something felt off. The bravado seemed thin, almost fragile. Surprise! He said, attempting to sound casual, but the excitement in his voice was laced with uncertainty. I heard there was an open mic night and thought I'd drop by. The diner's warmth felt suffocating as Maria remembered the last time they'd seen him, how he'd sneered at a waitress struggling to articulate her thoughts in English. He'd laughed, not out of malice, but from a lack of understanding. It had stung like quicksilver back then, and now, the tension thickened in the air. Maria hesitated, torn between the urge to run to him and the swell of resentment in her heart. Alex had just shown everyone the power of vulnerability, of reaching out despite fears. But Jake was the epitome of the privilege she often resented. Hey, Maria! He called, spotting her in the back booth. She forced a smile, but it felt more like a grimace. The applause for Alex still hung in the air, a bittersweet reminder of everything Jake might have missed. Jake wandered to the stage, nodding at Alex, who stood off to the side, eyes wide with surprise. Wow, man, that was really something, he said with genuine admiration. I mean, I didn't know you could. Alex cleared their throat, stepping in with the kind of dignity that demanded respect. Thanks, it was, just something I love. Jake's grin faltered slightly, oblivious to the unspoken tensions in the room. Sweet. You should come to my studio sometime. I'd love to help you record something. I know a guy. We could make it big. A murmur ran through the crowd. Big? Someone echoed with audible skepticism. Maria watched, uncertain. Jake had always had big dreams, but they were often at odds with the world around him. Now, the diner was alive with mixed feelings, disbelief and hope clashed within the four walls. As Jake chatted with Alex, her heart ached for her own lost voice. What if his presence was a catalyst for more than just old rivalries? Maybe tonight could be more than just a walk down memory lane. She had shared her dreams in secret, her own hidden talents crafted in solitude, but could she muster the courage to reveal them now? And just as she considered stepping up, Jake turned, his gaze darting across the room. What about you, Maria? Aren't you gonna share something? The air felt electric. Would the courage Alex had shown ignite her own fire, or would she retreat into the safety of the background once again? With her heart hammering in her chest, Maria took a breath. She would need to decide, step forward or step back. The choice loomed before her, a question waiting to be answered. Suddenly, another figure leaned against the diner doorframe, silhouetted yet unmistakable. It was her sister, Delia, a mix of confusion and excitement on her face. "Maria! Why didn't you tell me you were here?" The moment hung in the air, tense as a tightly stretched string. How would Alex, Jake, and her sister react? What stories and connections were about to unfold in this charged atmosphere? Maria's world teetered on the edge of change. Would she grab hold of the moment, or would she let it slip away like so many before? Maria's breath hitched as Delia stepped into the room, the noise of the diner fading into a dull buzz around her. There was something in her sister's eyes, a mix of enthusiasm and concern that amplified Maria's uncertainty. Delia had always been her biggest supporter, yet the thought of being judged by her sister, along with Alex and Jake, twisted in her stomach like a tight knot. Jake's bright expression faltered. "Oh, so you two are related? That's awesome. I remember you from high school, Delia." Delia perked up, her face lighting with a smile. "Yeah. I can't believe you're back in town. We haven't seen you since graduation." As Jake and Delia slipped into a conversation, Maria felt herself retreat again. She was a shadow in the corner, a forgotten note in a song that was about to be played. The warmth of their reunion felt inviting but alien, a place she wanted to belong, yet didn't know how to enter. Alex caught her eye, their expression softening. "Maria, I think you should," but before they could finish, Jake, oblivious to the swirl of emotions, turned back toward her. "Come on. Join us. We're all old friends here, right? What's stopping you?" The words rang like a challenge. She could practically hear her heart thudding in defiance, screaming for her to leap into the spotlight. She opened her mouth to respond but froze, words caught like a breath, tangled in her resolve. Delia nudged her with a grin. "You should. Remember when you used to sing in the school plays? You were great." A wave of self-doubt crashed over Maria. Those were younger days, a time when she felt invincible and light. But the older she got, the heavier the burden of expectations felt. The fear of failing, of being laughed at like that waitress all those years ago, held her back. Alex stepped closer, their voice a gentle nudge. "Your voice matters too, Maria. It could inspire someone else, just like the way your words used to inspire me." Maria's heartbeat quickened. Alex's sincerity did stir something inside her, but she didn't fully believe it. What if she stepped up and everything crumbled? What if she ruined everything? Jake, still unaware of the storm inside Maria, quipped, "You know, I never did get a chance to hear you perform. You should totally show us what you've got." No pressure, right? The tension in the air thickened. It was as if time had stopped. The faces turned towards her, curiosity, encouragement, or maybe just eagerness to fill the silence. Maria felt the weight of their eyes, a force pushing and pulling at the core of her being. The diner felt alive, buzzing with expectation. The smells of coffee and greasy fries faded into the background, drowned out by the pulse of anticipation that swirled around her. Moments felt like hours, a tick-tock echoing inside her mind. Then she took a step forward, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "Fine, I'll share something," she said, surprising herself with the boldness in her voice as she moved toward the stage, her thoughts running wild. "But only if you all promise to be honest. No sugarcoating." The crowd murmured with excitement, a wave of energy washing over her. Maria grabbed the mic, feeling its cool metal against her palm. She looked out, the familiar faces mingling with the unfamiliar, and tapped her foot to the rhythm of her racing heart. "Okay, here goes nothing." With a deep breath, she opened her mouth, ready to unveil the part of her she'd been so desperately hiding. Would it resonate? Would they see her true self, not just who they expected her to be? What Maria didn't know was how her performance would echo beyond this moment, setting off a ripple in their lives that would change everything in ways they couldn't yet imagine. Maria's heart thumped in her chest as she gazed at the mic. The anticipation rushed over her like a tidal wave, swallowing her in a mix of fear and excitement. What if she forgot the words? What if her voice cracked? She squeezed her eyes shut for a moment, trying to silence the chaos swirling in her head. Taking a deep breath, she opened her eyes wide, locking her gaze on Alex, who nodded encouragingly. That small gesture ignited a spark within her. She had to do this, not just for them but for herself. "I'm going to sing something I wrote," she announced, her voice steadying with each word. "It's about feeling lost and finding your way back." She could see Jake's expression shift, genuine curiosity replacing his earlier eagerness. Delia leaned forward, her eyes bright with pride. Maria felt the warmth radiating from her sister, and it fueled her courage. The first notes floated off her lips, hesitant and soft at first. But as the melody began to wrap around her, something shifted. With each line, her voice grew stronger, more vibrant. The words spilled out like a long-guarded secret, revealing her heartache, dreams, and everything in between. Each note resonated and danced, evoking emotions she hadn't let herself feel in a long time. The diner was captivated. She could see a few faces in the crowd glistening with tears, while others listened intently, their expressions a mix of empathy and nostalgia. In those precious moments, the diner transformed. The sounds of plates clinking and forks scraping faded. It was just her and the music. As she reached the chorus, the uncertainty that had plagued her slipped away. She let the melody carry her, almost like flying. The guitar player in the back joined in softly, creating a perfect harmony that wrapped around her song like a comforting embrace. Maria glanced over at Delia, who smiled proudly, and Jake, who seemed utterly absorbed by her performance. But it was Alex's gaze that sent a thrill through her. They were all there, rooting for her, whispering a silent promise that she wasn't alone in her vulnerabilities. As the last note hung in the air, silence swallowed the room. It felt tangible, heavy with the weight of shared emotion. Then, as if the spell broke, applause erupted. It washed over Maria, a wave of warmth that made her grin shine bright. Laughter broke out from Jake, who shouted, "That was amazing. You've got a gift." Her heart raced not from anxiety, but from sheer exhilaration. The mic still held firmly in her grip. She felt the power of her voice, of her story, and how they had woven together in that moment. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with raw honesty. "I think I needed that." The crowd laughed, but Maria recognized the deeper truth behind her words. She had been hiding, afraid of judgment, but here, in the embrace of her community, she had discovered a strength she didn't know she had. Alex approached her, pride gleaming in their eyes. "Told you, Maria. Your voice is incredible. You should be singing all the time." She chuckled. "Yeah, well, I might consider it now." But then another thought crept in. Was it really this easy? Would people keep listening? Would they support her on this newfound path? Just as she was forming the question, Alex leaned closer. "Hey, can we talk after this? I want to discuss something important." Maria's heart skipped again, but with anticipation instead of fear. The evening could hold unexpected turns, and she couldn't shake the thought of what this discussion might lead to. "Sure," she replied, her pulse quickening. As the evening progressed and laughter mixed with chatter, Maria basked in the afterglow of her performance. Yet, underneath it all, a flicker of uncertainty remained. What opportunity awaited her with Alex? Just then, a familiar face entered the diner, catching her off guard. Someone she thought was long gone, someone who could change everything yet again. And in that moment, Maria had no idea just how breathtakingly her world was about to tilt once more. As the door swung open, the familiar jingle of the bell echoed through the diner, capturing everyone's attention. Maria turned, and her breath caught in her throat. There stood Javier, her childhood friend and fellow dreamer, with a confident smile and an air of determination that radiated from him. He had moved away years ago to pursue music, and the memories of their long talks about dreams and what lay ahead flooded back. "Surprise, everyone!" Javier called out, the room instantly buzzing with whispers and welcoming murmurs. The warmth of recognition filled Maria's heart. Could this really be happening? Here he was, stepping back into her life just as she began to find her own voice. Javier. Maria's smile widened, her joy bubbling over. She rushed to him, wrapping her arms around him in a loving embrace. I can't believe you're here. As he returned her hug, she noticed a spark in his eyes that reminded her of all those late-night conversations they had shared. It seemed he had transformed from the shy boy she remembered into a man with purpose and passion. I heard about the open mic night and knew I had to support you, he said, his voice warm and reassuring. Can you believe it? Maria gestured to the crowded diner, the lively atmosphere radiant with energy. Everyone is sharing their stories, finding their courage. I even sang. No way. He looked genuinely astonished. You were always the one with the voice. I knew you had it in you. Before they could catch up further, the crowd erupted into another round of cheers, inviting Javier to take the stage. Hey, why don't you share something, too? Maria suggested, her heart racing at the thought of seeing him shine. Javier hesitated for a moment, but the supportive buzz of the diner encouraged him. He made his way to the stage, and with a nod that radiated confidence, he took the mic. I'm not gonna lie, this is a bit nerve-wracking, he chuckled, earning laughter from the audience. But I've missed the magic of sharing music. As he began to strum his guitar, the notes filled the diner, wrapping around the patrons like a gentle embrace. Maria's heart soared as he poured his soul into a song about friendship, love, and chasing dreams. The audience transformed, swaying like a harmonious wave, lost in the bliss of the moment. With each chord, Maria felt invigorated, a warmth spreading through her as she witnessed the power of connection. Javier's song mirrored the very essence of their journey, highlighting resilience and the beautiful tapestry of lives interwoven through vulnerability. As he concluded his song, waves of applause washed over him, reflecting the overwhelming camaraderie in the room. Maria felt the undeniable pull of their shared stories, how they had each found the courage to share their truths through music. Just as her fear of judgment faded into the background, Javier's radiant energy revived her spirit, but as the audience cheered, Maria caught a glimmer of concern flash across Jake's face, who was leaning against the bar. What is going on? He murmured under his breath to Alex. Maria felt a flutter of anxiety ripple through her. Now was the time for unity, not division. She leaned closer, whispering to them, let tonight be about connection, no secrets, only love and encouragement. The crowd continued to encourage as Alex exchanged glances with Maria. We can make this happen, Maria. You've got a whole community behind you, they said with quiet certainty. With the evening unfolding beautifully, Maria's heart filled with hope. In that moment, she realized it was about far more than performing, it was about allowing her light to touch others and reminding them of their own. Javier stepped down, his energy lighting up the room. Maria. Let's take this stage together and show everyone what we can create. Her pulse raced at the thought as she joined him, her sister's proud smile catching her attention. They both grabbed the mic, gazing out into the enthusiastic crowd, and the gravitational pull of community flooded her with renewed strength. It's all of us, she spoke, her voice steady as she looked around. Finding our voices together, sharing our stories. This journey is ours. The audience erupted in cheers, their applause wrapping around her like a cozy blanket of affirmation. So let's celebrate this extraordinary place where we all belong. Javier, you start, then I'll jump in. They began to harmonize, and soon, the entire diner joined in, clapping along, uniting their voices in a melody of hope and newfound purpose. With each note that soared through the air, Maria felt the shadows of doubt lift, replaced by a glow of triumph that shimmered in her heart. This was the moment she had been waiting for, a shared journey where everyone felt alive. As they sang together, hope woven through the music, Maria realized that this was not just about her. This was about the story they were all creating together, a tapestry of healing, courage, and connection that would echo through the community long after the lights dimmed. Together, they seized the night, the magic of their shared voices leaving a powerful mark in the hearts of everyone gathered. Maria finally understood, sometimes, it takes a community to remind you of your worth, and together, they would create something extraordinary that would last forever. In the warmth of these shared truths, Maria turned to Javier, a teary smile illuminating her face. "Thank you for coming back. I always knew you would shine, Maria," he replied, a proud grin plastered on his face, and at that moment, she understood how far they all could go by supporting one another. In the heart of that diner, a story unfolded, a story not just of Maria, but of countless voices daring to be heard. And that was the true beauty of it all. This was only the beginning. Now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and make sure everyone gets to experience this joy. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let us know how it resonates with you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep this incredible journey going.